you ever wondered what secure attachment actually feels like? You may be anxiously attached right now or avoidant and be yearning for security, and you want to know what it's actually like. Well, I am here to tell you. Hi, my name is Elena. I'm a registered psychotherapist qualifying here in Toronto, and I work with all things relationship anxiety and attachment styles. I help people become their own secure base, going from anxious to secure, from avoidant to secure. And I myself have been a formerly anxious person. I also have some avoidant tendencies, but I've reached a sense of deep security in my romantic relationships and my friendships. And this is what it feels like. Let me give you a bit of a background. I was a baby with avoidant attachment, but somewhere throughout my life, I've developed anxious attachment in my romantic relationships as I've got older. And this impacted every single aspect of my life beyond romance. You know, the way that I showed up at work, the things that I chose to do in school, the way that I would even just talk to myself in the mirror, how I felt about my own worth, the types of opportunities I went after. I was so drained by this type of anxiety because I was living in this survival mode for so many years. That a lot of it was really stemming from how I viewed myself in relation to my romantic partners. About a year and a half ago, I decided to really put in the work because I had all the tools, I have all the knowledge. I am a therapist. This is part of what I studied. I knew attachment theory, I knew the right modalities. Through a blend of research, my own sort of trial and error, and developing new experiences, I came out on the other side, secure. And I have developed a framework along the way that now I use with my clients. And I want to tell you what it feels like to be secure because it feels amazing. I want to clarify what secure attachment is. If you see me looking over here, it's because this is where my notes are. With secure attachment, what they notice in babies is that infants can interactively regulate with their caregiver. This means that they can go on their own, play. Let's say if they start crying, they can reunite with the caregiver. The caregiver will help them regulate and regulate on their own as well for short periods of times. So essentially, they can regulate by themselves, but they can also regulate with the help of a caregiver. And they feel comfortable being around that caregiver. They will actually show preference for the caregiver, and specifically they'll show preference for, let's say, the mom or the dad. They know that they want someone around them. To develop a secure attachment style, a child needs to know that their emotional needs will reliably be met by their caregivers. And of course, this doesn't have to be, perfect. Studies show that even if the caregivers are not always there, not always perfect, even if there's some mismatch in the emotional needs, a child can still develop secure attachment if that is the main thing that the caregivers go back to. Babies naturally use these cues to try to get the caregiver to tell them, hey, something's wrong. They'll cry, they'll coo, they'll, maybe poop their pants. Essentially, they want to notify the caregiver that they need help, right? That they're looking for something, they're looking for comfort. And a secure baby trusts that once they notify their caregiver, the caregiver will take care of the situation and it will help them out. Parents who then raise children who are securely attached have a deep sense of trust with their child. Their child knows that they can rely on their parents. They know that they'll be there for their emotional needs. For kids, it's so important to know that there's a sense of stability, right? That they can trust that the caregiver will be there and they know what to expect. They don't have to feel like they're on edge all the time because they understand and can reliably predict how their caregiver will respond through these repeated interactions. Typically, these parents are very calm and they're regulated. There's a couple conditions for security and safety, and we're going to go through them, but I'm going to explain to you how it feels right now as an adult. First condition is safety. A child who is secure feels protected and safe. They have freedom to explore the world, but they'll stay close enough to their parent because they have a sense of safety and trust with them. If the child goes off too far in the world and feels a little bit frightened, they know that they have their place and that they can return back to their parent. Their parent is going to provide that safe, positive embrace from the rest of the world. This kind of conveys this message that, you're loved, you're safe, you're protected, you're chosen. As an adult, you become your own secure base. I have developed this strong internal sense of safety and trust where I can then go out into the world and explore, right? And exploring doesn't have to be as deliberate as, leaving the house and, going on a trip or to the store or to try a new job. Exploring can be even just entertaining your own ideas and feelings and being comfortable with managing anything that comes up for you. When I felt more secure in myself, I actually just became so much more secure in all aspects of my life. I felt safe. For example, I went on a trip earlier this year to Brazil. Maybe a couple years ago when I was more anxious, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing so because I would think, oh, well, I can run into danger. There may be certain problems to navigate. I don't speak the language. This year, I didn't feel a single bout of anxiety because I trusted that I can explore. And if something happens, I will be okay with managing it, right? The safety goes hand in hand with emotions as well. When I feel big emotions, whether that's, sadness, frustration, anger, I can experience them. Even anxiety, I can experience my anxiety and I can let it come out. And I feel safe in maintaining it and managing it and knowing that I can always return back to my own kind of comfort. I trust myself to feel those difficult emotions and work through them. I trust myself to make those good decisions. So, in a sense, as an adult, I am my own personal base for safety, and it feels so great. Component number 2 is being seen. Parents that are very attuned to their baby will know how to read their cues and respond accordingly so that they can help their baby with whatever need that they have. Essentially, children learn that there's a certain signal that they can give to their caregiver, and when they give that signal, the caregiver can come and give them a very predictable, accurate response, right? Doing that over and over again provides a sense of stability and a sense of understanding for the infant, right? Now, as an adult, the feeling of being seen comes by me. I can identify all my needs. I can identify when I'm feeling off, and I can get to the root of why exactly is that feeling coming up, right? I can pinpoint what may be making me respond in a specific type of way, and I can give myself the empathy and the understanding, right? I know where it's coming from. I know why I thought that. I know why I felt that. And even if I don't know in the moment, I can sit there with myself and think about it. I don't talk to myself negatively. I'm not harsh with myself. I genuinely give myself care as if I was talking to a younger version of me and we're sitting there trying to figure something out. I also, in a part of being seen, I just let myself be me. Like, I know who I am inside and out, whether that's, having my own sense of fashion or engaging in my hobbies or choosing something that I really like to do, right? It allows me to feel more seen within myself. And that actually helps in my relationships too, because I no longer feel like I have to hide who I am or what I like. I can just be myself because I see myself. So it doesn't matter if someone else doesn't see me. I know that I do. I know that I understand myself. And by being more true to myself and more attuned to my own experience, I can also help my partners understand that too. I think a lot of times we really want to be seen by others. We want others to understand us so badly. And of course, that's a very vital and important human need. But before you can get that level of understanding and depth from someone else, you really need to get it from you, right? And I think it's come to this point for me where I don't even care if, someone else doesn't see me or doesn't understand me. I understand myself and see myself so well. I can give myself exactly what I need because I know myself, that I rely less on the people around me. And it's not because I don't trust them, but it's because I can already attune to those things on my own. And the people that do know me and that I do choose to have in my life are ones who want to genuinely learn about me, who want to show up for me, who are willing to give me the things that I'm looking for, right? Whereas maybe the anxious version of me would just pick whoever, right? Whoever is just going to be there to sort of like feed what I was seeking in the moment, which was reassurance and validation. And even if they didn't show up in the ways that I wanted to, I would kind of just let all of that go because I so desperately was searching for someone to see me because I couldn't see myself in those moments. It was too hard to face myself. Now that I have faced myself, it feels really, really good. Mission number 3 is comfort. For a secure baby, the parents are very attuned to their emotional well-being. They're very warm. They're very inviting. When the baby's maybe distressed or not feeling so good, the caregiver's there and they're soothing. They're physically affectionate. They may be a little bit softer, a little bit warmer. They may kind of talk in that baby voice like, oh, it's okay. You know how we talk to kids or like to pets, things like that. They essentially try to model how a child can soothe themselves in these situations, right? Being calm, taking some time to breathe, some words of encouragement, finding something that's comforting, whether that's the embrace of the caregiver or like a toy, something like that. But what this helps with is that over time, the child is able to soothe themselves. They develop the ability to manage their own distress through self-soothing. This one professor I love, her name is Dr. Janina Fisher, and she works with trauma. She basically talks about this synapse for self-care. A synapse is basically like a point, a junction where two different neurons communicate with each other. And there's specifically, she calls it the self-care synapse. And it's something that develops for children who have this secure attachment where they can self-regulate and self-soothe. This is amazing as an adult because when you learn how to soothe yourself, life becomes a lot more beautiful. I am my greatest soother. I can calm my own emotions. I can calm my anxiety because through lots of research and through practice, through deliberate, dedicated practice in times of anxiety or anger or sadness, I have learned what works for me and what doesn't. And I can feel comfortable that even when I experience those emotions, I can let myself, cry, scream, I don't know, whatever, throw my pillow, whatever I want to do in the moment. But I know how to get myself back down to my ground zero. And for me, it's through like deep breathing, through EFT tapping, through, speaking kind things to myself, and just kind of like really working with my inner thoughts. But it's important because I've developed this comfort where I can be so regulated and so calm. And this is so much further than just relationships. Like I feel like that in all aspects of life, right? It improves my performance as a therapist. I don't feel anxious when I talk to my clients, right? Before, when I was anxious in my relationships, I was also anxious in my job. I don't feel anxious when I go and meet new people. I don't feel anxious to try something new. I've been doing dance classes for the last like 6 months. Old me would think like there's no way that I'm doing that, right? I don't feel anxious if a situation comes up. And if there is anxiety in any of those things, I know that I will survive through it. And this helps in my relationships because I used to be the type of person who would look to my partner to save me. Like if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I need them to hug me or to tell me that it's going to be okay, or to, drop everything they're doing and like drive to my house and be there. It's not that those things are bad or wrong. If you have a loving partner who is willing to show up for you, that's amazing. And that can be a super great support. But we need to learn how to do that with absolutely no one in the picture. Because at the end of the day, all you have is you. You're always going to be with yourself. It might be kind of a morbid way of looking at it, but I think that to fully indulge yourself in relationships and love, there is a need to sort of understand its impermanence, right? Even if you end up with this person forever, eventually one of you dies, right? And all that leaves is you, right? Or the relationship ends. So I think there's this big importance of being able to just be with you and to be your own person that regulates and provides comfort, because you just never know how the world is going to work for you. And I know it's like weird to think about it that way, but it's a very beautiful and freeing feeling to take care of yourself. The fourth condition is values. The feeling of being valued starts forming at infancy, and it's basically the foundation for developing very healthy self-esteem. And I remember seeing kids at school growing up who were just so confident. They spoke to teachers, they asked questions, they had no problem volunteering for things, they joined clubs. And I just thought like, wow, like those kids, I wonder what their parents are doing and saying to them, because they are so like confident. You can see that they have such great self-esteem, and it didn't feel like that for me at all. Parents who raise children who have healthy self-esteem, they repeatedly express the joy about their child, right? About who that child is. Not just what the child does, but genuinely everything about that child. It's almost like viewing that child as like being like a delight to their life. And they're just so excited with the fact that, their child is there and all the unique things that make that child, them. There's less of a fixation on, did you get a good grade on your test, or did you do that chore, and only being praised for those things. And this is genuinely being praised for who they are. And I think that's why when it comes to like anxiety and anxious attachment, I know for me, there was a huge focus on, okay, my value comes from what I do for others, and that is when I've seen that I'm praised for it. Therefore, I need to go above and beyond and perform for all my partners. I need to be extravagant, plan over the top dates, buy all these gifts, go out of my way, like just do so many things that were in my head. Yes, part of me wanted to do them because I like the person, but then the other part, it was like I was trying to show that I'm valuable and that I'm worthy. And now at this adult stage where I've built that security, like I appreciate myself to the core of who I am. I can feel confident in the fact that I know that I'm, kind and creative, funny, silly, that I'm ambitious, that I'm excited about life. And I no longer hold my worth or my view at all to how others perceive me, right? And how they treat me. That does not impact how I view myself. I don't look at myself to see, okay, what can I do for others? How can I perform for them? That performance is basically turned off. And I can almost feel like this, childlike version of myself in a way. There's just like this whimsy, this feeling of just like being me. And it's so great because when you have that value within yourself and you feel strong and confident in who you are, it absolutely transforms all of your relationships, because you realize that you don't have to be with people who make you work for it, right? You don't have to be with people who put you down or who don't see you as anything, less than special and extraordinary and amazing, and who won't choose you. And those things don't even become attractive to you anymore, right? It's like when you have that strong sense of self, when someone comes into your life and maybe doesn't fully like mirror that back to you, that's not something that you'd even want anymore, because that value is so strong and high that you only want the best experiences for yourself. So as an adult, it makes such a big difference. And even in things like career, right? I got to a point where I don't hold my value based on anything, right? Whether I achieve something, whether I don't, whether I'm, doing good in my career or all of that type of stuff. All of those are kind of like bonuses, right? Value is genuinely from who you are as a person and all the traits that you have. And it's an amazing feeling to just look at it like that. Condition 5 is exploration. So children need to feel supported to explore their world safely and joyfully. Remember in condition 1 when we talked about the parent being that secure base. Imagine this is the parent, right? The parent's here, they're the base. The child should be able to go around that base. And the more secure they are, maybe the further they'll go. But they know that if they run into any trouble, the parent will come. Or they can go back to the parent and it'll be fine. And parents who really help their children with this aspect of exploration, they start to have this like deep trust in their child, and they know that they can always take care of their child and always provide for them because they are the child's safety net, right? And they're deeply involved in their child's life, not in a way where they're micromanaging and monitoring everything, but they show up. They want to know how the child's doing. They want to know what they're doing in school. They want to help them make healthy decisions and healthy relationships. And they trust the child to develop their own sense of self. So they give them autonomy. They allow them to speak. They allow them to choose. Even simple things, right? Like, what do you want to eat for dinner? Or, oh, if you're full, you don't have to eat anything more. Do you want to join this club or not? Do you want to hang out with that friend or not? Right? So this sense of security allows for children to actually just discover, they can go through life, they can, succeed on certain things, they might fail in other things, and they get to explore. And through making those explorations, through learning all those lessons, they know that their parent is there supporting them. And they get to build their own strong, unique sense of self. It's why we see babies who have secure attachment, they go on to have very remarkable careers and they have great relationships. They feel so good about themselves, right? The beautiful thing about being an adult is that you can become your own safety net for exploration. You can go all out and try all of life's crazy offerings, go through all of life's adventures. For me, I noticed a security where I expanded my business. I quit my job and I decided, no, I'm going to go full force in my business, right? I traveled a lot. I just went on a bunch of cool trips. I took leaps of faith, whether it was, learning a new language or learning a new dance or having difficult conversations or, meeting new people, putting myself out there in relationships, whatever it is. There's this sense of comfort and excitement and exploring. And I feel safe to do that within myself. I feel like I can make good decisions for myself and I can sit there and reflect on what actually fits best for me. And this is something that every adult can become. You can become your own sense of safety and you can go and enjoy the world and all of the fruits that it has to offer you by becoming that secure base. Essentially, those are the 5 components of secure attachment. There are some additional kind of character traits that we can look at. So typically people with secure attachment, they can handle conflict calmly. They are able to sort of differentiate their thoughts from their feelings. And I love this one because there's like this capacity to self-reflect and to hold multiple perspectives at once. It's almost like being able to see all of the gray and not just thinking so black and white. You can kind of see multiple sides of the story. That's one of my favorite things of secure attachment, because before I would just have such black and white thinking, either they love me, they don't, or it's like this or it's like that. There was no in between. So it's really nice for this to exist. People who have this attachment find it easier to seek closeness and proximity and support from others. They don't have as much avoidance. There's not as much anger or resistance. And they're just able to kind of regulate their emotions a lot better, even when those things do come up. What I love is that they feel comfortable in relationships and on their own. And that to me was a big thing, because for so many years of my life, I was constantly just chasing love and romance and relationships and felt like I needed that to be whole. But now I've got to a point where honestly, it's like so on the back burner. It's like something that adds to my life rather than feels like my entire life needs to revolve around my relationship. It's like this beautiful added bonus that I can pour my time and energy into, but outside of that, I'm still me and I still have my own life going on. And finally, there's a balanced sense of self and confidence. It's not that you're walking around with this massive ego, but you can feel comfortable in admitting to yourself, the things that you're good at, but also recognizing your faults, and finding ways to like balance your criticism with the positive view that you have. And it has been revolutionary for me, because I used to have extremely low self-esteem, and now I think it's so much better. It's so much more balanced, and I truly feel great. Now, the biggest question I always get asked is, how did I do this? Every consultation I have with a client, they're like, tell me how, tell me how. Lucky for you, I have two in-depth lectures, master classes, basically, with resources that I will link below. One is on anxious attachment, one is on avoidant attachment. But essentially, I've created this framework, and you can basically do this on your own. This is like the overview of it, but if you would like, you can also work with me. There's a link in my bio. I offer therapy for clients who are in Canada, and then coaching for everyone else worldwide. I like to call this the secure self method, essentially becoming your own secure base. Phase one is awareness. So we really want to understand your attachment system and how it operates. Phase two is stabilization and regulation. So this is to develop the ability to regulate distress and create internal safety. Phase three is about exploration and meaning making. So we want to understand the origins and the functions of all your current patterns. Phase four is emotional repair and processing. So this is healing unresolved emotions and experiences and giving yourself some self-compassion for what you've been going through. Phase five is basically repatterning and creating this new identity. This is to develop a secure sense of self that's independent of external validation. Phase six is learning how to take secure action and building better relationships. So practicing secure behaviors in your daily life. And then finally, we have phase seven, which is the integration and expanding into your life. So this is really creating a meaningful, fulfilling, values-driven life. I hope this video was interesting and gave you some insight into what it's like for secure attachment to build. And if anything that you take away, I just want you to know that you can do this too. You can become your own secure base. I really thank you for watching this. I'd appreciate if you like, subscribe, leave me a comment, leave me a question, and check out all the links in my description below. And I'll see you next time. Bye.